Happy Sunday. This is my first live of the new year. And if you see me looking down, I am looking down, glancing at my notes. But today we're going to talk about spiritual warfare and demonic possession. Now, let me give a little disclaimer. Me speaking on spiritual warfare and demonic possession is not coming from a religious place, but a place of experience and observation and things God has just revealed to me in my quiet time with Him. And even me, I was born with certain spiritual gifts. I was born with the gift of discernment, I was born with the gift of foresight. I've always been very intuitive ever since I was a kid. But now that I am extremely close to God and I seek God every day, and I have a way closer relationship with God than I did when I was a kid, my gifts are even stronger. And that is why I just want to make that disclaimer. Me talking about the devil and demonic possession, that's not coming from a religious place. It's coming from a spiritual place because as much as people like sometimes I'll hear people say like the devil isn't real or they believe God is real, but they don't believe the devil is real. And I'm like, you can believe what you want, but anybody who is truly spiritual knows that there's light and dark. God is the light, the devil is the dark. And here's the thing, the devil is not a human, the devil is not a person. The devil, even though you might hear me say he, I'm well aware the devil is not a man, the devil is not a human, the devil is not a he, the devil does not have a gender. But because I do have a religious background and, I do have like a Christian background, sometimes I might say he. And also, as humans, we tend to explain things in a human way. But the devil is not a human, the devil is that dark force. Like I said, the world, the earth is split up into two sides, light and dark. God is the light, the devil is the dark. Okay, I'm just making sure y'all following me. But as a person, as people who are empathetic, people who have compassion, it is hard for us to believe that there are humans walking this earth that are not really humans. There are people walking this earth that are not really humans. They're actually demons. And like I said, I'm not coming from a religious place, but you have to understand how spiritual everything is. Every day, I guarantee you, every day you are battling some type of spiritual warfare. Excuse the lighting, the sun keeps moving around. I don't got no control over the sun, so I just want to apologize ahead of time. But yeah, it might go in and out, so yeah. But you have to understand just as much as you have to know God, you also have to know how the devil operates too. Because when you're oblivious and you think, oh, the devil isn't real, guess what? When you have certain thoughts, you're not going to realize that's the devil. And sometimes you might accept these thoughts as true, or even when it comes to other people. You might be constantly giving people the benefit of the doubt, not realizing you're dealing with a real life demon, or at the very least, that person is possessed by a demon. And that's another thing I want to talk about too. There's a difference between somebody being used by the devil, somebody being possessed by the devil, and somebody actually being a demon. Here's the difference. Anybody can be used by the devil, even a believer. And a lot of times people don't realize it's the subtle things that you do that might hurt another person. If you put another person down or you do something that harms another person, in that moment you are being used by the devil. So even something as petty as you being online arguing with people. Now, it's one thing if somebody says something crazy to you and you defend yourself or reply in a respectful way. But if you are going online, there's people that have fake profiles spam accounts where they go on random people's pages, go on somebody's profile and comment something negative when that person doesn't know them and they haven't done anything to them. But they go on this stranger's page who has done nothing to them and say something disrespectful or crazy. In that moment, that person was being used by the devil. But that doesn't mean that that person overall is evil or they're a bad person. They're just misguided and they don't know any better, unfortunately. Being possessed by the devil is another story. By the way, I'm not saying like, oh, like I'm just laying the facts out for you guys. I'm not saying one is better than the other or worse than the other. I'm just explaining the difference. Somebody who is possessed by the devil, they might do something where they don't know what came over them. Like, even though deep down they knew it was wrong, when they did that act, when they committed that, they weren't thinking. It was literally like something else was controlling them. And that's because there was something else controlling them. They were possessed by the devil, they were possessed by a demon, especially if after they do it, after they do this particular thing that they know deep down was wrong, but something just came over them, especially if they have remorse afterwards. So let's say somebody does something crazy where like you hear people say like I blacked out. Like say if a person blacks out and they do something crazy, but the next day they wake up with so much remorse, genuine remorse, and they feel so bad for what they did. In that moment, that person was possessed by the devil. They were possessed by a demon. Now here's the thing, and this is just my belief. I believe as long as a person is alive, they can always change. They can always give their life to God. However, the choice is theirs. That's the tricky part about it. God gives us free will. He ain't going to make us serve him, he ain't going to make us choose him. And that's the thing. So a person might be permanently possessed by the devil, or they might snap out of it, but the choice is theirs. Now, here's the thing about being possessed by the devil. Back to what I was saying. If a person is truly remorseful and they feel bad for what they did, not because they got caught, not because other people found out, but they themselves are like, yo, I don't know what got into me. Like, it's like I blacked out, like it was like something else was controlling me. And by the way, that doesn't excuse that person's actions. Let me be clear. I'm not excusing it, but we do have to acknowledge the spiritual side to it. But back to what I was saying. So, if that person is truly remorseful and they feel bad for what they did and they don't know what came over them, that person, I do believe that that person can change, but only if that they can change and they can be free from that possession. Because here's the thing, a lot of times, especially when I was a kid, I used to view people being possessed by the devil as like them needing to get an exorcism and like they must have did something super crazy and it was super obvious that this person was possessed by the devil. In reality, a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's not obvious, especially if you're not spiritually aware and if you're not in tune with God. You might not notice it. You might not pick up on it. And that's another reason why I'm making this live and sharing this message, because it is not to instill fear, because let me be clear, because I believe in God so much and I know that God is the greatest force, I ain't scared of the devil. I ain't scared of no demon. I ain't scared of no witch. I ain't scared of none of that. But so, like I said, I'm not trying to instill fear in people. I just want people who are believers, people who are children of God, whether you are watching this and you are a Christian, you are Muslim, you don't subscribe to religion at all, you just believe that there is a higher power, you believe in the Most High, whatever the case. I just want my people, God's people, to be aware so they don't become prey and fall victim. So back to what I was saying. Sorry, I'm just going and going, and I'm jotting down, looking, or not jotting down, but I'm glancing down at my notes just because God has given me so much to say on this subject. But yeah, Dang, what was I saying? Oh, a lot of times we think it's just going to be obvious if a person is possessed by the devil, but no, it's only obvious to you if you have your spiritual eye. If you are spiritually aware and in tune, and the biggest way to become more spiritually in tune and aware is to seek God every day. I spend so much alone time, quiet time with God every single day. And ever since I gave my life to God and surrendered to God, after being in a crazy, abusive, toxic relationship, my spiritual gifts, like I said in the beginning, have gotten even stronger. The things that I've had, like the prophetic dreams I've had over the past year or two, even just certain feelings I would have about certain things, and then they would end up happening. It's been so many things to where I'm like, God, this is kind of scaring me. Like the fact that I'm like predicting certain things and like I'm seeing certain things or recognizing certain things in people, but at the same time, I'm grateful for it because that keeps me safe. That keeps me protected. Because that was another thing I wanted to say too. If you don't want to become prey to the devil, like if you want to protect yourself by being possessed by the devil or being possessed by a demon, you have to cling to God. That's the number one thing, is to cling to God and live by the fruits of the Spirit. If you're living by the fruits of the Spirit and you're seeking God every day, it's going to be very difficult for the devil to get a hold of you. And you also have to be mindful of who you surround yourself with, who you allow around you, and you have to be mindful of the environments you go in. And on top of that, you have to just listen to your spirit. A lot of times, even if you might not be the closest to God or you feel like, oh, I don't have spiritual gifts, da da da. If you're a child of God, if you believe in God, yes, you do. You just haven't tapped into them, or you're just ignoring it. Because here's the thing, when I was lost in the sauce and I wasn't really seeking God, I still had that discernment. I was still like, there was still times that I felt certain things in my spirit, but I ignored them because I would just write them off as like, I would just try to rationalize past it and just think with my logic and just listen to my logic and give people the benefit of the doubt. But my spirit was disturbed. My spirit could pick up on certain things with people, but I just ignored it. So that's why I say, if you feel like, well, I don't really have strong discernment, or I don't really know like if this is my intuition or if this is me overthinking, pray. Ask God to guide you. Ask God to give you the wisdom, and He will. And when you have a feeling in your spirit about a certain person or a situation or a place, listen to that. Even when your logical mind tries to talk you out of it and tell you you're crazy, you're not crazy. The spirit knows way more than your logical mind does, way more than your human mind does. But yeah. Oh, and the difference between being possessed by the devil or being possessed by a demon and actually being a demon, because I used to not believe this. Like, I used to not want to think like that because I ain't gonna lie, I am the type of person. Let me move this over a little bit. I hate that the sun keeps moving, guys. Hi, guys. I'm sorry I haven't read any of the chat. I will try my best to read it at the end, but right now I just want to focus on getting this message out there. Let me take a sip of tea first. Mm. Oh no. I'm so happy I just remembered. I was going to give you guys a perfect example of somebody who got possessed by the devil. And this is a real life story. So, this guy, he takes his two kids hiking in the woods that they always hike in. They come across this random staircase that they've never seen before. And the son was curious. He was like, Dad, like, what's up these stairs? Like, can we go up these stairs? And being a good father, he's like, no, let me go up there first just to make sure it's safe. So the father is going up the stairs. And when he gets to the top, he just sees it's just black, like just he couldn't even see anything. He says he hears a voice say, kill them. And it wasn't his voice, it wasn't in his head, it wasn't his kids. He said he audibly heard a voice say, kill them. So he goes down the staircase and they're like, Dad, can we go up? And he's like, no, we need to leave. He said right after that, something switched. Something happened. He was driving home. Right after that, he was driving them home and he felt this urge to drive into oncoming traffic. Luckily, he didn't, but he didn't know where that came from because up until that point, he was normal. He was a good dad, good father, no violent history, none of that. Like he was completely normal. But right after he went up that staircase, that's the thing. He opened up a portal. Some type of demonic entity was in that staircase and attached itself onto him. People can say, "Oh, I don't believe that. That's not true." Believe what you want. But if you're watching this live, I have a feeling you know that that type of stuff is real. So back to what I was saying. So he gets home. Right when he gets home, him and his wife start arguing. Up until this point, they were fine. They had a great marriage. They start arguing, and after every day after that, they would argue almost every day. And it finally got to a point where he unfortunately put his hands on her, gave her a black eye. After he gave her a black eye, she left with the kids. Like she didn't feel safe, understandably. And it's just so sad because I know she's probably like, what happened to my husband? Where did this come from? But like I said, being possessed by the devil or being possessed by a demon is real. But let me finish the story. So after that, he said it was just, he would constantly hear this voice telling him to do these crazy things. Like even him arguing with his wife, putting his hands on his wife. That was not like him. And he knew it was wrong and he didn't want to do it, but it was literally like something was controlling him. So he goes to work one day. His boss confronts him about something. He said, as his boss was like confronting him, he had the urge to pick up this sharp pen and stab his boss in the neck. Even though he had the urge, luckily he didn't do it. But he did threaten to kill his boss. In that same argument, in that same disagreement or whatever, he threatened to kill his boss. Of course, he ended up getting fired. So after that, he's driving. This car cuts him off. He gets really angry. And he literally goes up to the guy's door, opens the door, drags the guy out, and starts beating him. So after that, he gets 3 years in prison, 3 years in jail. Prison, jail, one or the other. He gets 3 years. And after he comes out, that's when he starts getting therapy. And guess what? He started seeking God. Ever since he's been in therapy and he's been seeking God, he said sometimes he does still hear that voice, but it's a lot less than it was when it first started. So pretty much he's been getting better. And I believe that eventually, at some point, especially because he's seeking God, God is going to deliver him from that. And the reason he shared the story and he anonymously shared the story, because of course he didn't want people judging him and thinking he was a demon or a bad person or whatever, because he felt so bad about all the things he did. And it all happened from him going up this random ass staircase in the woods. And I never even heard of anything like that. But when I heard his story, I really didn't I don't believe that man was lying. I don't, and he said the only reason he shared it anonymously because he didn't want people judging him or thinking he was crazy. But he said the reason he shared that story, because he said he never shares that story. But the reason he shared that story was to warn other people about going up random staircases or just going in places, even if it's an abandoned house, going in places where deep down you know you don't got no business going. You being nosy. Like mind your business. And here's the thing. If he was close to God, when that happened, if he was already close to God, I guarantee you he wouldn't have went up them stairs because he would have had the discernment to know, me and my kids are not supposed to be going up these stairs. We just gonna keep walking. So yeah, and people who are actually demons. That let's talk about that. People who are actually demons, they, in my humble opinion, I'm not saying I'm right, I'm not saying I have all the answers, but in my humble opinion, people who are demons, people who are demons don't have a soul. They don't have empathy. They don't have compassion. They don't even really have emotions. And as hard as it is for us empathetic people, sane people, people who believe in God to believe as true, it is. And I know because, like I said, I know from experience, observation, and really just things God has revealed to me. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. This guy, this was another story recently, a true story that I, listened to. And I was just like, wow, that man is a demon. He ain't just possessed by a demon. He ain't just being used by the devil. He is actually a demon. That's just who he is. That's just in his nature. And me, respectfully, and I could be wrong. Only God knows everything, but I feel like people like that, they've chosen what side they're going to be on. They're never going to change. They've chosen the dark side. They like the dark side. And that's just a part of them. That's just who they are. This guy, geeky, nerdy little white guy, his mom. Well, let me start from the beginning. How everything came out. His mom went into his room. I think he was in his early 20s, but he was still living with his mom. His mom went into his room and she found human hands. Obviously, they weren't attached to a body, so he, cut them off somebody. She found human hands and she called the police. The police take him in for interrogation. And he was so calm, no emotions. He wasn't nervous, he was just calm. And he just flat out confessed, like, yeah, I killed somebody. Just calmly just said, like, they showed footage of him in the interrogation room and like hearing what he said. And I was just like, yeah, that man is a demon. Like, he's not even a real human, he's a demon. And he was just super calm. And he's like, yeah, I was just driving and I was in a bad state of mind. These were his exact words. He said, yeah, I was just driving at night and I was in a bad state of mind and I just saw this homeless person and I just wanted to know how it felt to kill somebody. Like, I wanted to know how it felt to kill somebody and decapitate them. And that's exactly what he did to this random homeless person that did nothing to him. A random homeless person that he was just driving past because he was in a bad state of mind. No, you are a demon. You weren't in a bad state of mind, you're a demon. That's different from somebody who's possessed by a demon because this man had no remorse. He had no remorse, no empathy. He wasn't even fearful or nervous or none of that. That is the perfect example of a demon. So back to the story. He said he just wanted to know how it felt. He said he just did it because he just wanted to know how it felt. So he told them that he buried the body in one place and then he buried the head in a different place, but he decided to keep the hands. That, like I said, that is a perfect example of a real life demon. And the crazy thing is, up until that point, he probably didn't do anything like that prior to that point. And that's why I say, like, Here's the thing you have to understand about the devil. He's never going to be obvious. He's very clever and sneaky with how he attacks people and even how he uses people. And sometimes people are used and they don't even realize it. And sometimes you have people like the previous guy I was just talking about who are aware of it and they don't care. And you have to be aware of both. And you have to make sure you are not being a demon to somebody else. You have to make sure you're not allowing the devil to use you to bring somebody else down. Because here's the thing, the word Satan in Hebrew means adversary or accuser. So if you're putting somebody down that has done nothing to you and you're making them feel less than or you're mistreating them, you're being their adversary. If you are accusing somebody of something that they didn't do or being something that they're not, I've had people, complete strangers, demonize me, call me a witch, accuse me of all types of crazy stuff. And it used to bother me. I'm not gonna lie, but now I just laugh because I'm like, y'all demonizing me and calling me all these things, not realizing I really do live by the fruits of the spirit. I really do my best to make sure I'm doing the right thing in God's eyes. And here you are judging me off superficial things like, oh, she wears a dot in the middle of her forehead. So she's demonic or she's into witchcraft. And that's the problem. People who are super religious, a lot of times they will demonize things off the surface. And that's not how you judge things. That's not how you recognize if something is truly demonic or of the devil. You test the spirit. You don't judge somebody by how they look. You don't judge somebody by their religion. You judge them and not even judge them, but you make an assessment about them and judge the spirit. How do like and that's the thing, like, and that's another reason why I wanted to make this video because I feel like a lot of people look at things as demonic based off surface level things, superficial things, and really superstitious and religious things. When you really have to go off what you feel in your spirit, not what you were programmed to believe, but what you actually feel in your spirit. So that's another thing that I wanted to address. I need some tea. My mouth is dry. I'm reading some of the comments, but I'm not going to respond yet because I don't want to lose track of everything that I'm going to say or that I'm supposed to say that God has assigned me to say. Now that I took that little break, I don't even remember what I was saying. Lord, help me, Jesus. 1 second. Oh, I was talking about the fact that prior to him decapitating somebody and cutting their hands off and just keeping them in his room, he probably seemed normal. And that's the thing about demons. They know how to mask their true nature. They know how to mask their evil nature. Because here's the thing. Somebody who's a demon, they not gonna be demonic to everybody. Like they're not going to be harmful to everybody. They're gonna have people that they actually are nice to because they need allies. A demon isn't stupid. A demon is very strategic, and they understand that because I am a human, because I'm in this human form, I do have to have other humans that can vouch for me. But that doesn't mean they're not a demon. And the thing is, just because somebody hasn't killed somebody or raped somebody or did anything like that doesn't mean they're not a demon. And I'm not saying this to make you go around judging people and being like, that person's a demon, that person's demonic, da 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 da. No, but just go off of how you feel in your spirit. And here's another thing, eyes. A lot of times, if you really look in somebody's eyes, you can tell if they're a demon. Or at the very least, you can tell if there's nothing behind their eyes. And those are the people you need to stay away from. Trust me, I know because I was in a relationship with somebody like that for almost 4 years. And that was another thing that taught me a lot about demonic possession because I won't go as far as to say that my ex was a demon, but he was definitely possessed by one. And there were even times throughout the relationship where he would kind of hint to that. There would be when he would have these episodes of rage, he would say things like, maybe I am evil. Maybe I am evil. Or he would say things like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me. And even though I was not seeking God at the time, I've always had some type of connection to God. So I've always been somewhat spiritually aware. When he would say things like that, in my spirit, I'm like, yeah, there's something inside of him. There's some type of demonic entity inside of this man controlling him. And even though I understood that, I still knew that I had to get the fuck out of there. Like I knew that I had to leave him. And that's another thing. You can be an empathetic person and you can give people the benefit of the doubt. But when it comes to what you feel in your spirit, not you judging somebody based off how they dress, like that's petty stuff. But how you feel in your spirit, how they make you feel when you're around them, the energy that they give off, you have to listen to that. Even if you have empathy for them and you understand they're possessed by a demon, you still have to separate yourself from that because if you don't, it's only a matter of time before, if you haven't already, it's only a matter of time before you become their prey. And trust me, I know firsthand because I dealt with it for almost 4 years. I was definitely prey for a long time. And the crazy thing is, deep down inside, I knew. Deep down, I knew, but I just didn't want to believe it because of that empathy. Me just always wanting to see the best in people and not believe that there's real life demons, or at the very least, people who are possessed by a demon walking this earth. So, yeah, I need some more tea, guys. Where are you from? I'm from Ohio. But I'm currently living in the Atlanta, ATL. There's a little more. Let me adjust myself. I'm over here sitting on the floor in my room. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. I'm talking into the mic because the mic is down here. Hopefully, you guys could hear me pretty well. I need a little more tea. Ooh, I did not expect to talk this long, but I guess this is everything the Lord wanted me to say. um, yes. What was I saying? I'm sorry, guys. This is why I don't be reading the chat because I begin so distracted, and then I lose track of what I was saying. Goodness gracious. Oh, demons need something to feed off of. So the best way to handle a demon is to not deal with them at all. The best way to deal with a demon is to not deal with them at all. Don't fight fire with fire. There has been so many times I have had real life encounters with people who I knew were demons. Like when I looked at them, I'm like, this is not a real person. And not just me basing it off of how they looked because they looked normal. If I was looking at them just with my human eye, they looked normal. But as soon as they started talking to me, as soon as we started interacting, I was like, oh yeah, this is a demon. This is a demon. And anytime that would happen, I wouldn't react. I wouldn't really say much. I would just smile and keep it moving. And that's the best way to deal with them, because if you give them something to feed off of, because here's the thing, you might be thinking, oh, I'm just getting into an argument with this person in traffic because it cut me off, not realizing you're actually dealing with somebody that's a demon. And if you match their energy, you could lose your life. Think about the poor man who ended up getting possessed by a demon just by going up some stairs. The guy who he ended up beating the crap out of when, they had their little road rage or whatever, he cut him off. That guy, the other guy who ended up getting beat up, he probably had no idea that that man was possessed by a demon. Like, I'm sure he was not expecting that. And that's why you have to move carefully and prayerfully too. And that's another thing. The best way to not become prey is to pray, to seek God. Ask God for discernment. Ask God for wisdom. Ask God for protection. Another way, like I said before, be mindful of who you're around and the environment you go in. Because, like I said, the world is divided into dark and light. And you have to be mindful of what you allow in, the energy you allow in. And last but not least, listen to your spirit. Listen to your spirit. If something doesn't feel right about a person, place, or thing, if it does not feel right in your spirit, listen to that. Don't try to gaslight yourself out of that. And I'm saying this, everything I'm saying, I'm speaking from experience. Because, like I said, there's been plenty of times in my life where my spirit told me something and I did the complete opposite, and I suffered and I paid for it. So yeah, let me see. Did y'all, I'm trying to read the chat now that we're towards the end of the live. Anything disrespectful, I am going to ignore. Because, yeah, we do not spread hate here. We only spread love. 1 second, guys. I'm reading some of the comments. Would you like to be a stepsister? I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that question. Okay, yeah. Hi, I'm from India. Hi, India. Hi, person from India. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to share with you guys today. If you need help, if you need coaching, if you need advice, if you need guidance, I would love to work with you. Go to my website, www.coachwithkai.com. I'll make sure I put it in the description box too. Oh, Lord Jesus. This is what happens when I talk for so long. It's like my voice starts giving out. But yes, if you need help, I am a spiritual teacher and coach. Check out my website. Make sure you check out the description box. It'll be in the description box. But yeah, I love you guys and I'll see you soon. Bye.